Imagine living day to day with just feeling anxious, and you feel like that the weight of the world is on your shoulders. What if I told you that there is a way that you can overcome that? Hey everyone, it's Elissa, and anxiety is something that a lot of us face. Like, there are a lot of people that do have the clinical anxiety, and then there are others who have anxiety but they don't have to take the drugs for it. Sometimes I get anxious, I get very tight, like my whole body gets really tight, and I just have this overwhelming sense of fear and this overwhelming sense of dread, and I feel like that I don't know what to do. I feel like that I have lost control, and I just feel like a mess. Well, there are ways that you can overcome that. First off, I am going to say that if you do have a clinical anxiety and you are on a medicine, you take your medicine as your doctor says. There are a few scriptures that the Bible addresses about anxiety that I wanted to share with you. I found these to be a comfort when I have that overwhelming sense of fear and anxiety. Philippians 4:6, it says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." Matthew 6, the Lord assures us that we do not have to fear, that God will meet our needs, and that we are of more value than the birds of the air. So if you are having fear and you're just anxious and you don't feel like that things are going to work out, God does assure you that things are going to work out. God will meet your need. God is always there for you, and that will never change. In John 14, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be heavy, neither let it be afraid." So the Lord is saying here in the book of John, do not be afraid. Over and over again in the Bible, it tells us that we do not need to fear, that we do not need to be afraid. The word fear, I have often heard it said, and it's very true, fear is false evidence appearing real. Again, I'll say it, false evidence appearing real. When we have fears, our brain blows up those fears to be this big thing, and when it's really not. We need to take our thoughts captive, because if we don't, then the thought is going to fester and it's going to get bigger, and then we start to think things that aren't really there. That's what fear is, false evidence appearing real. Oftentimes the bad kind of fear does not have a solid foundation. Like, I feel this way about things like money or my home. I have these thoughts of in the past, oh, I was homeless, and then I start to get really anxious, and then any time that the rent is due, you know, it's like I know that we have enough, and then I still get afraid that I'm gonna lose my place to live because I've been there in the past. It gets so anxious, and that's because of what has happened to me in the past. Like, it's because of the trauma that I have faced of being homeless. I mean, we just can't let thoughts fester. We have to take each thought captive. There are some ways that I have found that you can overcome anxiety. Again, I will stress this. If you are on a medication, you need to take your medication, and these other tips may help you along with your medication. Pray. Anytime you start to feel that fear, that tenseness, Pray and ask the Lord for wisdom. Ask the Lord for help. God is there for you. God will always be there for you. To exercise, and that could be taking a walk. It could be taking a stroll or a run, any kind of form of exercise, as long as you are moving your body. That really helps your brain to calm down the thoughts, and it really helps you to feel like less stressed and less anxious. It really works. So you breathe in. And if you do that 3 times, you start to feel the tension in your shoulders up here just release. And you start to feel better. Your mind clears. So it really does help. You're feeling anxious. You're feeling stressed. Just take a deep breath in. Challenge that anxiety. Anxiety makes you feel like you can't do anything. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you feel like that you've lost control. Well, challenge that. Take a good look at yourself, because you are capable of doing what you put your mind to. You can face a problem head on. You have the skills to problem solve if there is a problem that needs to be solved. Challenge yourself. You know that you have the skills to solve any problem that comes your way. So ask yourself, what can I do and how can I do it? To think about what is causing the anxiety and challenge that. I look at the facts. I look at the facts of what is right there, and then I look at the fear. If I allow it to, that anxiety, that fear is going to consume me. It's going to consume my everyday life. So I have to take that fear. I have to challenge it head on. If you do have anxiety, if you are on a medication, there are some things that you cannot help. But you should always ask for help. If you start to feel very overwhelmed, if you start to feel like you have an anxiety attack, seek help. I'm going to have a video around here somewhere of how to trust God when life gets hard. If you have the clinical anxiety, even if you don't, it's a part of life. Because anxiety stems from fear. And as long as we live in this world, this fallen world, there is going to be fear. It's just we need to challenge it. We need to combat that anxiety, because anxiety is not who you are.